From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here on a Tuesday. Hope you're having a good day. I'm getting it going. I'm having a little cup of coffee, and we've got a good show on tap for you as usual. Question today, among other things, how are you set up for either yourself or your parents moving forward, legally speaking, with regard to things like power of attorney or wills, or what your thoughts are about when someone needs to make their way to an assisted living facility or a nursing home? All these questions come up, okay, and sometimes they creep up on you faster than you think, and you realize, a lot of this you need legal representation for, and that's why we do this show periodically. It started years ago with my good friend Tim Takacs, with Takacs and McGinnis. His practice continues to grow as more and more of the baby boomers age, and he just does a terrific job, and he's got a fantastic staff. So this morning, we're going to open up the phone lines for you if you have questions along any of those lines with one of his fine guests. I don't know if he's the most recent addition to the firm, though he's been there for a while. Chris Johnson, good morning to you. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can, Nick. Good morning to you. How are you doing?
Good. So are you the most recent addition to that firm? I know you've been there for a while now, but have they hired more since?
Yeah, we have 2 new staff members since then. We have Kathy Danton, and she is our newest receptionist, and we have Sarah Barber, and she's our newest paralegal. We're very lucky to have them on staff. We're excited to be growing.
Well, that's right. And you, of course, are a lawyer. You, of course, also are a Marine, are you not?
I am. It gives it away in the background.
I was going to say, you sure can see that. But after leaving the armed forces, you got your law degree, and now elder law was something you wanted to go into.
That's right. It gives me a chance to give back to the community. I get to deal with a lot of veterans in my practice here, and so I'm very fortunate about that. But anytime we can improve the ending for families in the community, we feel good about what we do.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I appreciate you joining us today. And look, I thought we'd maybe just start off. We're in interesting times now, and I don't know how it affects maybe this aspect of your practice, seniors and elder care law. But, we're coming out of the pandemic, more people getting vaccinated, things opening up. A lot of folks that are, on Social Security and the like, we're also getting some of those stimulus checks. Social Security, how that plays out. I'm just curious, what have you noticed with regard to change in your practice, transitioning from when we were pretty much closed down to where we're going right now, if you've noticed any change at all, frankly?
I think the biggest change was initially the hesitation about facilities, and understandably so. Early in the pandemic, people were very concerned of the unknown. We didn't know what exactly this was, what the treatments were, how we were going to deal with it. And so there was a great deal of hesitation, I think, amongst our clientele as people really struggled with what's the right decision to make and how are we going to do this. And so the biggest thing we saw was, I think, as the end of the year came along, people were having a little paralysis by analysis. They just weren't sure what to do. But as the vaccine came out, and I think people regained some certainty in their lives, people are trying to get back to normal, I think, as quickly as reasonably possible, because that's what we all want. We're all really wishing for right now is a little bit of normalcy after this last year.
Exactly. That's what we want to have happen. And I think you're exactly right. People were maybe a little, hesitant to move forward with things. Everything was kind of on hold. And, for a lot of folks, too, whether they got sick, got medical bills, maybe lost their jobs, some of the seniors or other folks, things became financially tighter. I know maybe many of them got stimulus checks. But I'm just wondering, for a lot, they're looking at what we just went through. And at our age, does it change a point of view on life in a way? Like, maybe I should go ahead and take my Social Security early, because who knows if the next pandemic comes along and I don't survive that. Maybe I start drawing on it now, or will I have enough money, in tight times if they come again? That's frankly some of the things I've started thinking about.
Yeah, and people can be driven to that. I tend to be a little more conservative in the thought regards to that. And I believe in the "this too shall pass" philosophy regarding life. We're going to get through this. I think we very much have a bright light at the end of this tunnel now. I think people are very relieved. We have a saying in the law that bad facts make bad law. And what that means is when you have an unusual set of facts and someone tries and craft a law to deal with it, sometimes you don't get the desired result you want. And so I think people overreacting and changing what their lifelong philosophy was because, hey, who knows what tomorrow will bring. I don't think that'll serve them well. I was talking to a financial advisor friend of mine, and when the market went down very low to 18,000, and there was that feeling that this dip is different than all the previous dips, and they kind of quietly encouraged, hey, it's going to come back like it always comes back. And now you look at the stock market and we're ahead of where we started. And so I think staying the course, doing those prudent decisions that we've done to get us to this spot, I think it's going to serve people well in the future.
I agree. All right, let's talk maybe if we can. When you come on, or Tim or Barbara, we open it up. There's so many areas we can go to, and we may get some phone calls, 737-7587, and maybe to get some folks thinking, and if they have questions, let's just hit on a few of the things then. Right now, Chris, what are some of the things that you're seeing more of with some of your clients? What are you working on right now? Have there been any changes in the law or with spending or Social Security or monies moving forward coming out of the pandemic that you're dealing with right now? What kind of things are people asking you for help with?
There are no big significant changes in the law. People are wondering what to do with their stimulus check, especially if they're on a benefits program that's means tested. And that's just making sure it's adequately spent down so they meet the resource limits and being wise and prudent in that. We have a lot of people who this is really getting the catalyst to get them going and get their planning done. And a lot of people who for the last year have maybe held off regarding a facility are now feeling comfortable, like, yes, that's the safest environment. And that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for each client to be in the safest environment. And if that safe environment's their home, we want to plan around that. But for some people, they're going to need a higher level of care. And I think that hesitation that people had during the pandemic, now that it's waning, people feel like, yes, all those resources are on the table again, and I'm going to start taking advantage.
Yeah, and that just made me think, and my own personal situation with my folks and where they can be most safe. And it's fortunate that they're in an assisted living facility, happens to be in Boise, Idaho. And you helped me out in a big way. You and Tim, referring me to an attorney that does what you do in Boise, who, by the way, we did hire. And we're getting to the point where my folks are going to get spent down to the point where they don't have the assets to continue paying, but they've been there now for several years paying, and they're going to transition then to federal payment coverage of it. I guess that's through Medicaid, correct? At that point.
Yes, sir.
But there's some legal steps you have to go through with this, and that's where a lawyer comes in handy, and you were invaluable in pointing me to someone that I could trust. But how do you decide with some of your clients and younger people like me that come in with behalf of their folks? No one really wants to go to a nursing home or assisted living facility, even though you perceive that they need this and they can't be on their own. God forbid, had we not moved my folks into this assisted facility when we did, they would be dead right now. I have absolutely no doubt. They would be dead. They either would have been driving a car and wrecked, or they would have been exposed to COVID and gotten it and died, or they would have burnt down their house. They're still relatively lucid, but they're not capable of taking care of themselves. And yet, Chris, they would not have gone willingly. We kind of had to coerce them into going to where they are now, where I think they are happy.
Yeah, I think what it is bringing people to the table and getting that joint decision and making people realize what we're looking for is your safety and well-being. If you're safe, your chances of being healthier are much higher. If you're healthier, your quality of life is better. And if you're healthier, your care costs are lower. And so care drives the train. And when people see that and they get it, that proverbial light bulb goes off. And so there is a little bit of back and forth and making an understanding of, okay, this environment's no longer safe. These environments are. Let's choose the best of the safe environments on the table.
Yeah, and that's the trick, though. You know what? Because they all think everything is fine. I mean, rational conversation at some point, especially when they start suffering from some deficit, intellectually, which comes with age, whether it's just senility or something more serious like Alzheimer's. Reasoning with folks is tough. And I know Tim walked me through a lot of that. There's a certain way you do it. We'll talk about that. We have to take a break. When we come back, we can also talk about some of the more tangible things that help you in all types of processes. Specifically, one of the most valuable tools I've got is power of attorney. Wow, do I love power of attorney. It is a handy thing. We'll talk more about that. We can take some calls if you have questions about a will or questions about power of attorney or something moving forward for you or your family. Chris is here, and he is so knowledgeable. The number is 737-7587. We'll take a break, be back and talk more about elder law with our great guest right after this.